So, we wanted to talk here for a moment about having the cognitive conversation when you're providing direct instruction in order to make executive functions meaningful and transparent. So, what we're desiring to do is have conversations with our students that help them understand what is an executive function, the fact that an executive function is a cognitive skill, and that cognitive skills can be learned. Now, we know that there are many different cognitive skills that we can work with, and usually when we're providing direct instruction, we work with one skill at a time. So we might be working on cognitive persistence or creative thinking or decision making. Here today, we're just going to talk about three skills: planning, sequencing, and inhibition, and what the cognitive conversation would sound like if you were working on these topics. So, the first step is that we're going to name the executive function in order to make it transparent and easily understood by the student. So, when we're providing direct instruction regarding what cognitive skills are and how we can use them, as an example, if we were talking about planning, we might say something like, when we practice our approach to doing homework, we think about what we will do in which order. What's the name of that cognitive skill or executive function? And how does our brain use it? So, this is an example of what you would say to your students in order to just do the first step, which is naming the executive function. Then the next step would be talking about how to apply the concept in their real lives. So, the example here is sequencing. And we would say something like, when we practice a series of three movements in a Tai Chi pattern, we need to remember the movements in order. So, what do we call that cognitive skill? So, here we are not only defining the skill, but talking about if we were practicing the skill. Namely, if we were doing sequencing, we would be doing a series of steps or a series of movements in a specific order. And if we were doing things in a specific order, we'd be working on sequencing. So, step two is that we apply it to their real lives. Then step three is that we live it. See, the thing about helping children understand that executive functions are cognitive skills and that cognitive skills can be learned, the thing about this is that we want to sprinkle the conversations in their lives throughout the day. So if you're the teacher, you might be mentioning it in the classroom. If you're the parent, you might be mentioning it on the playground. If you're the school psychologist, you might be doing drawings or using storyboards or doing videos in order to really apply it to their own lives. So in this example, we are doing step three, really living it, sprinkling it in their lives, and we're talking in this case about inhibition. So, as we talk about the executive functions, showing the children that they are cognitive skills that can be learned, we are talking about them as we go through our everyday lives with them in school, at home, in our offices. In this example, we're saying, Joey, we're making a decision to stand quietly on line right now. We're waiting our turn to go on the slide. Our brain and body are using a cognitive skill. Which one is it? So, those are three examples of how you name or define an executive function or a cognitive skill. Then you apply it in their real lives and you ask them to provide you examples, or you give them examples of how it might be used. And then in their real life you actually live it. You comment on the executive function as you're using it at home, in the office, or at school. Hope that's helpful to you, just understanding a little bit about what the cognitive conversation sounds like as you're teaching the children that executive functions are cognitive skills and that cognitive skills can be learned.